Education Secretary Betsy DeVos is praising an alternative take on Black American history promoted by notable conservatives while acknowledging the federal government can't dictate school curriculum. The Education Secretary said during a conservative policy panel on Thursday that she thinks a 1776 Unites curriculum sounds really wonderful. The project was launched this week by the Woodson Center, whose founder Bob Woodson has said low-income blacks are just collateral damage in the efforts of radical leftists seeking to demean and destroy the civics institution of the country. So basically, what the 1776 curriculum is, Unites curriculum, is a response to the 1619 project that was done by the New York Times. And they don't paint a pretty picture of Black history in America. It's a Pulitzer Prize winning piece. I know it's unfortunate though. This is the eternal struggle with Black people in America. You'll often hear it growing up that, they'll teach you their history. They won't teach you the truth. And that's 100% the truth, man. They like to whitewash and pretend like things didn't happen. And I think that's part of the reason why we haven't come as far as we should have when it comes to race relations in this country. Because one side likes to sweep things under the table like it never happened. They like to tell you to forget this and get over that and blah, blah, blah. And we never deal with the real issues. We just pretend like they don't happen. And that must be nice to be able to pretend like it doesn't happen. Trump is scheduled to speak at the White House Conference on American History on Thursday afternoon, deriding critical race theory, the 1619 Project, and the crusade against American history, according to prepared remarks. That toxic propaganda and an ideological poison that, if not removed, will dissolve the civic bonds that tie us together, Trump plans to say. The only path to national unity is through our shared identity as Americans. That is why it's so urgent that we finally restore patriotic education to our schools. And you know what? Growing up, knowing and working with Caucasian people that tend to be conservative, and I worked in the trucking industry, and it's a lot of conservative Caucasians in the trucking industry. And that's a constant theme of patriotism and speaking good about the country and unity. That's it's hard when you're not from that background, when you're not from that walk of life. When you didn't hear those stories growing up of, blacks and whites always got along where I'm from and blah, blah, blah. No, we grew up hearing about Black Wall Street and the atrocities that were committed against black people, and seeing images of people being hung, from the Ida B. Wells pictures and things like that. And it's like, it almost feels like you live in two Americas, because we do live in two Americas. You have that side and this side. And unfortunately, what's happening is propaganda's everywhere instead of the truth. What actually happened? Whether you agree with this side and you think that side is honest and you think this side is dishonest, what actually happened? See, because I'm willing to say, all right, well, the 1692 Project is a lie. If you show me it's a lie. But if there's documented evidence to the case, why do you say, well, that's divisive? Yeah, that's the truth. That's the truth. And you gotta go through the truth in order to get past things. You can't tell people, why don't you get over it, when you never dealt with the problem in the first place. Okay? I'm not interested in togetherness and patriotism. I'm never, to me, it's a ridiculous way of thinking. It's almost like saying, you should be a good sheep. Patriotism. You should blindly follow us because we're the country that you were born in. And I'm just not set up to think like that. I'm one of these people that, whether you're right or wrong, I'm not following you just because you're the country that I'm at. If you're wrong, I'm gonna speak on that. If you're right, then I'm gonna praise it. And this country does some right things. They've done a lot of bad things. I'm not gonna pretend like it didn't happen just because this is where I was born. Our shared identity as Americans, and this is another thing. You have some black people who consider themselves Americans first. These tend to be black conservatives, but most black people that I know tend to feel black first before anything. Some of them Christian before anything, but patriotic Americans, no. And that's not because we hate the country, but we have a different walk, we have a different experience than a lot of people would. I saw this one thing, this military guy posted something about, he felt like a lot of the black soldiers joined the military for the benefits. And he got, most people agreed. Yeah. And a lot of their friends that were Caucasian, they really wanted to join the military. It was like that thing. They wanted to be patriotic and serve their country. And this country's never been anything but good to you. It was built by your people. Built by my people in the beginning, but it was built for your people. You know, it was the British came over, they took it from the Indians, the Native Americans, and they turned it into a country. So obviously you set it up for the people who count the most. You don't set it up for your indentured servitude. You don't set it up for your slaves. You set it up for the people who matter the most to you, not the 3/5 of a man. So this country was never meant to be beneficial to black people. And this is something I saw in a town hall. The guy said, hey, when has America ever been good for black people? And I'm not saying it hasn't been good. I'm not saying it's not getting better, because it's gotten better and better over the years, but that's because we keep fighting. When you tell us to stop and to let go, we keep fighting. And that's why I'm able to say it's getting better and better. So yeah, it doesn't feel good on your side, I imagine, because it hurts having to deal with the truth, the honest to God truth. This country has not been good to black people, not like it has to white people, or Caucasians, I should say. And if you want to change that, then you keep going into the direction of fairness. And when we say to you, hey, we're treated differently by the law and by the police, instead of not believing us, investigate. I'm not saying trust, I'm saying verify what I'm saying is not true, if you believe that to be the case. Don't have these built-in conceptions.